Oh, hello there. Yes, well, we have arrived very, very safely into March and the weekend, and yeah, it's still pretty cold, but at least the sun's out, and it makes you feel glad that the sun's out because, well, yeah, it's still the same old rubbish, but at least the sun's out. Yes. Cue at least 14 pop songs that I can think of immediately. 15 if you include Crowded House. Yeah. Anyway, yes. We've had all the fallout from the inevitable badness that happened around Trump and Starmer because all of the right-wing commentariat, of course, was telling us how awful it was going to be because there was no way they were going to get on. And, there was no way that Starmer was going to be able to just, bring out pull something out of his back pocket which would please the old git. But apparently that's exactly what happened. And so all of those commentators that had to insist on people that the Chagos Islands deal definitely wasn't going to go ahead have now had to pretend that they weren't saying that. Still, we have proof, don't we? Here's Alex Phillips. Yeah, hopefully we're about to see how whipped Starmer is by Trump. Yes, not very, indeed. Yes, I predict he'll be told to scrap Chagos scam. Nope. Told to control borders. Nope. Told to lay off net zero. Nope. Told to invest in defence. Well, he's already done that, so no. Told not to cozy up to the EU. No. Told to protect free speech. Yeah, but that was by Mr. Vance, and we don't count him because he's a git. There we go. Yes, indeed. A weak, witless PM, yes, and the sort of legacy media have been sort of laying that on as well. This idea that even though it was a very successful mission, and that there's a very good chance that we won't have the same tariffs imposed on us as the EU are, and indeed we'll be able to go ahead with the Chagos deal, etc., 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 etc. It's still bad anyway because Keir Starmer, even though he is the most right-wing Labour politician basically in history, and even though this is a government that is firmly wedded to all of those appalling things that have made us poorer for the last 40 years, it still isn't good enough. No, we want a nice, proper Tory in who'll do it properly. Yeah, the sort of person that will, well, basically make us so much worse off. And, of course, that leads us neatly to the new Culture Forum and Peter Whittle. Doesn't really, but anyway, I did have to smile at this, which I'm going to share with you from, yes, hi, I'm Peter Whittle and the New Culture Forum. Link down below, you can watch the video for yourself. I'm going to play some of it for you, but he's has this, okay? Our young have been indoctrinated into hating Britain. By me, after all. Yet Britain's magnificent history and achievements should stir pride in us all. We encourage you and your children, yes, if you haven't got any children, gather to watch the final 3 minutes of this video in which we present 50 reasons to take pride in Britain. Yes, and the first part of the video, which I'm not going to play you, he basically says, well, young people just don't seem to have pride in their country anymore. Woo, I wonder why that is. Could it be that there's a country that myself and all the appalling economic policies that I've been pushing for a long period of time with my very dubious funding, won't necessarily talk about that. No, let's not, shall we? Yes, for the last 40 years. Could it be something to do with that? No, obviously not. It's all the teachers what got together somewhere in the region of between 10 and 20 years ago and have decided to teach our children all the bad things about the UK. And we then get this film for 50 things that are great about the UK. And I thought we'd go through it and see exactly what isn't being taught in schools on the list, okay? Because, yeah, and then we'll just have a general discussion about how it can be that I can present things on the list in a negative way. So let's dive in to that, shall we?
It farm-wide. Much of it will come as new to them, and for the rest of us, it won't.
Only if they're 3, if they're 18, it won't be new at all.
Need it now. Thank you.
That's okay.
Parliamentary democracy.
Key Stage 2, 3 and 4 History, in particular the Power and the People unit at GCSE. Key Stage 2, 3 and 4 History. In particular, Key Stage 2, 3 and 4 History. Inevitably Biology at GCSE. It's mandatory to take a Shakespeare text at English Literature. Well, yeah, particularly science, oddly. It's going to be covered in computing and IT.
English the global language.
Yeah, I think we know that.
The concept of common law.
PHSE in its variety of forms as well as history. Mandatory RE.
The scientific method as developed by
That is a mandatory part of certainly Key Stage 4 science, which everyone has to take. Biology unit at GCSE in particular.
the wealth of nations.
Economics GCSE covered in history in a variety of ways as well. Anything artistic here would be covered in media studies or the various art units you can take. That's the Industrial Revolution again. That's a particular unit at Key Stage 4, but also covered in Key Stage 2. These days you cannot do anything in sport because it's mandatory and it is covered by that. There is a good chance you'll do The Hobbit at GCSE.
And the human circulation system.
Key Stage 4, history in particular.
Of Ian Fleming.
Various media stuff. I must admit, probably not Mr. Whittle. There is a good chance you will study that at some stage as a book. In particular, Key Stage 4 science,
The steam engine.
Industrial Revolution.
Paradise Lost.
It's unlikely,
The cat scan.
possibly. You cannot get through school without screaming that you don't want to see Harry Potter anymore.
Discovered by France.
Key Stage 4 science, in particular biology. There is a very good chance if you do GCSE English you will do a book by Arthur Conan Doyle.
The world's first modern postal
I
system.
must admit, probably not.
Miss Marple
Might well be in a variety of different media units or English.
Christie.
Music,
Sir Alfred Hitchcock.
media, film studies, etc.
Of Edward Elgar.
Music.
Charles Dickens.
Good chance you'll do something like Christmas Carol. Good chance you'll do 1984 in English.
Electromagnetism.
Statutory part of GCSE physics.
Railways.
Industrial Revolution.
Viagra.
Teachers might well mention that. Key Stage 2 history and Key Stage 4 medicine.
The slave.
Key Stage 2 history, Key Stage 3 history. Key Stage 3 history. There, that wasn't hard, was it? Yes, well, there you have it, you see. All those things that aren't taught in schools. Dreadful, isn't it? But Peter will say, well, I'm teaching kids the wrong way about that, which is going to be a bit hard, isn't it? Let's face it, how can I be negative about the theory of evolution? After all, aren't I a nasty atheist, yes? We teach the scientific method. It would be quite hard to do that. Granted, there's an awful lot of dead white guys on the list, but there again, we do tend to live in a country that has been dominated historically by dead white guys, so that's the way that one's going to go. But you see, what Peter's doing here, of course, is saying to you, well, I know you haven't been in school for 45 years, but you can imagine what's going on now, can't you? Because young people can't look around them and see how crap everything is. They have to be told that for completely different reasons things are crap, okay? Yeah? They can't possibly think for themselves because obviously children can't think for themselves in much the same way as university students are not allowed to have opinions. You can't have an opinion about Palestine. Oh, that would be wrong. You're only 22 for God's sake. Yeah, we can't have people with master's degrees thinking for themselves, can we? No, we need to ban these things, and of course that's what Peter is after, but on an Occam's razor level, right? Just thinking once again, I know I like to use that phrase, but thinking about it logically, how would I teach all of this stuff? And I do teach a reasonable amount of this because nature of my job, I teach science, English, maths and history and sociology up to GCSE. So how am I going to tackle these things in a way that makes people hate their country? Answers on a postcard with that one, folks. Okay. Oh, and by the way, of course, I am overseen by the people that employ me, and ultimately Ofsted, and ultimately the Education Secretary is my ultimate boss. So how exactly is it that young people have, because I'm their teacher, have decided that they hate their country? Could it be for other reasons? Could it be the overarching economic system which has an everyday massive impact on their lives, or me making a joke about Viagra? Hard to say, really. Hard to weigh that one up if you're a bear of very little brain. Still, that's the agenda, don't forget, yeah? Because, of course, if Peter had to think about the economic system that he's very much in favour of, which extracts wealth from people at the bottom and makes them miserable, then it might cause some problems, mightn't it? Can't have that. Bless him. Otherwise he wouldn't have all that money to spend, would he? Anyway, it's nice to see that they're spending some of that very, 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 I'm sure, okay money that they got from that very, very, very nice disabled charity on something useful. As, a 1.5 minute film with a picture of Winston Churchill. Whatever. Hey? But this notion that I, personally, don't like the country that I live in, I just find mildly insulting. But I find much more insulting the idea that I am personally responsible for the opinions of young people. I think Peter might be a lot more responsible because his media reach is a lot greater than mine. So why isn't he doing more about it? Anyway, do have a glorious weekend. Make the most of them whilst you can, eh? Whilst you can. They'll be banning it soon.